full 360 degree. The bottom floor is going to be like a 360 degree living room with windows.
We're live now. Okay, we're going to have to stop talking about your solar-powered airship very briefly. We can come back to it.
That's all right.
Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in for this week's episode of Power Hour. And today we're talking to Abraham Cambridge, Abe, who is looking incredibly relaxed and making me a little jealous.
You know, it's a Thursday. I've done some of my work today, so what a way to unwind for a little bit than sit down on the couch with yourself.
Exactly. Or with another person is even better. And here we are. So Abe is CEO of Sun Exchange, which is, well, I'll let him explain what it is, but we're going to be talking blockchain, solar power, startups, accelerators.
That would make sense.
Maybe spaceships again.
Yeah, not spaceships, airships.
Oh, my bad.
Solar-powered airships is the future form of habitation and transportation in one. But no, Sun Exchange is it's a marketplace where anyone can buy solar panels and have them deployed into solar projects in the sunniest locations on Earth.
Okay.
So think it's like sharing economy for solar panels. So if you live in a house that you don't own or live in an apartment, today you can't own a solar panel. You don't have a roof. You can't put it on your building. Through Sun Exchange, you can buy a solar panel, own it, earn an income stream from it from rental payments by leasing your solar panel to a project on our platform. Okay. But you buy the solar panel through our platform as well. So it makes going solar really simple, really easy, and optimal, because your solar panels are located in the best projects in the world, like in South Africa, for example, or the best solar conditions on the planet. So it makes no sense whatsoever to put solar panels on a roof in, for example, in the UK, when you can deploy them into Africa, transition Africa into a solar-powered economy, solar power African businesses and industries, and switch them from coal, which they're currently running coal, and they'll pay for the energy, and then we'll convert it to Bitcoin, and we'll send that Bitcoin lease payments to our members.
Amazing.
We've currently got members in 70 countries.
My gosh. Well, I'm a true believer of Sun Exchange,
well,
and
actually
it exists.
It exists. You don't need to believe.
Is a really good start. But like your last project was the Neisner Elephant Park, and you say like there's people in England. Like I actually bought my brother who's living in an apartment in London, so getting no sun now owns a solar cell on, or will be on, the Neisner Elephant Park.
Yes,
very cool.
Indeed, solar powering African wildlife conservation and research. And people living in London, it's not that favourable weather conditions. The feed-in tariffs and subsidies have been cut, so going solar is not very attractive. And in this respect, you can go solar with a click of a button. Yeah, it's as simple as that.
Amazing.
No surveys, no having to deal with governments with forms and electricity utilities. Just sign up on Sun Exchange, buy a solar cell, and earn Bitcoin.
And if that hasn't convinced everyone, we still have 20 minutes to chat. So tell me about how a boy from Cornwall ended up running this business out of Cape Town here, focused on solar and crowdfunding.
Well, I think actually my first memory of solar energy was, I remember sitting in a geography class at school, and I remember looking at the solar cell on it. It's a solar-powered calculator. Okay. I remember looking at it just like that. I just kept covering it up and seeing how long it would last without the solar energy going into it. And I remember going home and asked my mum why we couldn't just tie loads of them together and power a house.
Wow.
And she told me it wouldn't be possible because it would be too expensive.
Okay.
And then roll on 20 years, and in that 20 years I did a master's degree in the science of climate change. Yeah. Understood that solar energy is the future. It has to be the future. Yeah. Actually, we've almost got no choice. Yeah. And it obviously is going to evolve into that anyway. So after doing my master's, I got a job back in Cornwall, installing solar panels, like actually on roofs, physically installing solar panels. And the first job I ever did in the solar industry was strip a roof of concrete tiles and replace them with solar tiles.
Okay,
like that product that Elon Musk launched last
year. I was about
to
ask you what you thought of him.
I was installing them 9 years ago. So Elon,
we'll send this to Elon.
Beat you to it, dude. So that was it. I mean, Cornwall was the birthplace of the solar industry in the UK because it's the furthest south. It's got the best solar radiation, so that's why the solar industry started in Cornwall.
Okay.
And So we developed the UK's first utility-scale solar plant there.
Okay,
that was back in
amazing.
2010.
Very cool.
And at that point, kind of the whole world flocked to Cornwall because that was where there was this boom in the market.
And great cider, shout out.
And Healy's cider farm, go there. And Skinner's Brewery, don't forget Skinner's. Hi Skinner's, I'll have my free beer.
Hi everyone else in Cornwall.
The point is that the market there was artificial.
Yeah.
It was all based on subsidy, on policy, so it's not really a sustainable market. And we saw that with the booms and busts of the solar industry in the UK.
Yeah.
Between the years of 2010 to say 14, it's kind of stabilised now.
So Cape Town was more.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, then I visited my sister in Australia. I realised that actually it's sunny in other places in the world. Applied for a job to be a consultant for an engineering company to be posted to Australia. And then I got a phone call saying the job's been cancelled, being moved to Cape Town. Do I want to still go? And I was like, yeah, all right. And then I got the job, got moved out here, started working in an office building just over there. And I used to look out the window and I just think, where are all the solar panels?
Yeah.
It's so sunny. Why are there no solar panels on the roof here? And it's because there's no finance available. There's no. I mean, solar plants require a specific type of finance because they're very capital intensive and very long-term projects. So banks don't have any tailored products for them.
Yeah.
Businesses don't want to use their own working capital to go solar because it is capital intensive.
Yeah.
And it is a very long payback period. So it's very hard to get a CFO to sign off to purchase a solar plant for a factory when they want to be expanding their factory. They don't want to be owning electricity systems.
Yeah, exactly.
But at the same time, there's the advent of crowdfunding, like Indiegogo and and Crowdcube and kind of equity crowdfunding platforms. Yeah. So kind of I thought, well, if we hybridize that kind of approach to a kind of a leasing model, so kind of reverse engineer solar cities model a little bit, and then enable individuals to own the solar panels in those projects, and then with the marvel and incredible technology behind Bitcoin and blockchain, then we can actually transact with the entire world using Bitcoin.
Amazing.
Onto tiny amounts.
So
we can then break down the ownership of a solar plant to a single solar cell, like that big.
Which is awesome. And so
that's like the base unit of a solar plant, like the molecular level of a solar plant is a cell, and we can now enable people to buy into them at that level. That's reduced the cost of going solar by 3 orders of magnitude.
Amazing. Well, and I spent 200 Rand, I think it was, to own part of the solar plant. It's going to be a Nice and Elephant Park.
Yeah, exactly. So
very accessible.
Before, to go solar, you'd have had to spend what, $10,000, or what it is in Rand right now, 140,000 Rand to go solar, and now it's like 100 Rand to go solar, or $10 to go solar.
Exactly.
So it's now complete game changing. Now anyone can access it.
Well, so I'm obviously very bought into it, and so are a lot of other people. But if we take a step back, and I know that this all started, or you say it starts, when you pitched the idea of solar-powered money to Microsoft Bizspark back in 2014.
Yes.
So tell me how that came about and what that entailed.
Well, I knew that there was something in this kind of crowdfunding model approach with Bitcoin and solar. And I remember going to a friend's braai, a barbecue.
For our English watchers.
To Frank Spencer, my friend, who works in the solar industry, and I told him, I'm going to start a business that involves Bitcoin, crowdfunding and solar. I don't know what it's going to be, but I'm going to do it. Awesome. And then my wife Katie, she spotted an advert for this thing called the Flow 2 program, which is in Salt River, just down the road from here. And I thought, right, I'm going to go and kind of pitch this idea. It was like a seed, an idea creation incubator. It wasn't like a business accelerator. It was like to help people crystallize and formulate a business idea and develop it. So it's like a really good kind of first step on how to take what's just an idea and a concept and actually trying to create a business model out of it. So I went there and I took a few days off work at my job at the time to go and kind of develop this business idea over 5 days.
Amazing. And
I remember it was the first time I'd ever pitched an actual business idea. And on the last day, I remember I was just cycling around. I used to cycle to and from work. It's like a 6-kilometre bike ride, but all I'd do all bike ride long for about 2 weeks was just practice my pitch non-stop. Just so I knew the words, I could just play with the flow of the words. So by the time I actually came to do the pitch, it was just really smooth. And they were like, yeah, that is a good pitch and it's a good idea. Awesome. And they then kind of gave me a mentor and helped support the business being created and kind of the admin that's generally quite hard and tricky to formulate, like business registrations and stuff. they covered for me. So that was a really good kind of first step.
And I would say back, pitching, I was just involved with Sun Exchange through Techstars, so I saw you pitch recently at the end of the program and secure your next round of funding, and you're definitely a natural. You even seem very chilled live now.
Pitching does come with practice, I guess, but I guess you just have to have a certain amount of
balls.
Say balls, but it's like you just have to have a certain amount of confidence that you know what you're talking about for a start.
Yeah.
Actually, I remember I was part of this organisation in the UK called Young Enterprise.
Okay.
Which is even at school you start up a business, and I ran a business called Rendered Audio, and we manufactured subwoofers and speakers. Okay. And I remember pitching that at the age of 16 to an audience. So it's something I have always done. But I've just got the gift of the gab, really.
I can't tell that at all.
Yeah.
No, that's perfect. So you're obviously involved in Bizspark, as you said, or Flow, and Techstars, and I believe another accelerator.
Yeah, the Powerhouse Accelerator,
Powerhouse. And so why do you keep going through these programs? What is the value you're getting from
Well, I think until your business is funded, it's essential to be in an environment that's supportive of businesses, so you can share the journey with other startups going through the same challenges, access mentorship, being in wonderful facilities like this, so you've kind of got office space and coffee machines and photocopiers, internet and friends. I mean, it can be very lonely starting up a business, so to be starting a business in an environment where there's usually money involved as well, so you generally accelerators give somewhere between like $10,000 to sometimes up to $100,000 for a small amount of equity, say 5%, 6%, so it kind of makes sense to keep your business going. And if after a couple of years you still haven't raised money and you've given away 15-20% of your equity to accelerators, then you've got to start questioning whether your business is actually viable. But at least you've been a supportive environment in the meantime. Yeah,
definitely. Amazing. And so you actually, you've raised a few times, but when you were starting out, you did a crowdfunding campaign for a crowdfunding product, which is great.
Yeah, I crowdfunded a crowdfunding company.
So that was on Indiegogo.
Yeah.
And so maybe you can just talk a little bit about how that campaign worked and how you made it so effective.
That was a really interesting experience to start up and organise an Indiegogo campaign, because it is a lot of work, and you've got to make sure that everything's really slick. Like video is really important, like having a very, very good video. Yeah. But what I did learn is that you've got to set a very, very low target for what you want to raise. Okay. So because Indiegogo, there are lots of algorithms in it. And your project is practically invisible until you're on top of their list. Yeah. And then once you're on the home page, then the whole world can see it, and that's where money starts coming in. But until that point, you're relying on contacting everyone you know, non-stop, relentlessly, hustling, hustle, all
Glad
about
I didn't
the hustle,
know you back then.
until you raise the money, and then. So I managed to convince a good friend of mine to put in £6,000, so that it took me over the threshold of my target of £10,000, because believe me, even raising £4,000 is really tough. Yeah. Because you've got people like very well-meaning people and supportive friends putting in £50, and it's great, and I'm very grateful for that. But it takes a lot of friends doing that before you've crossed that threshold. So to have someone coming in with a big chunk of cash and taking you over the target. Yeah. Then we're in the public domain, then when we're on the front page of Indiegogo, and that's when payments just start coming from around the world. Amazing. So my recommendation is just set a really low target, and know you can hit it. And actually, if you can have the contributions lined up before you launch, and then launch it, and then hit your target like within 24 hours, that's when you can have a super runaway successful Indiegogo campaign. And that kind of made me, something about like the economics or the mentality behind a crowdfunding style campaign. Really interesting.
Definitely. Well, and I think people are under an illusion that they'll just list their campain on Indiegogo and people will see it and it will.
That is complete illusion. That is, if you think that's going to happen, you're in absolute la la land. You're just going to fail.
And it really is about hustling.
It's a full-time job. Once you've got it on Indiegogo, it's full-time. Message every single person you've ever met. Call your ex-lovers, your friends you haven't spoken to since you were 6 years old. Everyone, because you never know who's actually going to say, actually, I'm going to put money in.
Exactly. And it's easy to have supporters, but then when you're actually asking for cash and telling people to put their cash out on the table, it's a whole different conversation.
Exactly.
Yeah. So obviously Sun Exchange is doing really well now, and we'll talk about what your plans are for the future. But what have been some of the biggest challenges so far?
I guess, it's just challenging generally. The amount of time it takes up. So you've got to kind of being prepared to just park everything in my life especially through Techstars of all things. So you've got to be prepared to just like forget all other business, like all other things that are going on in your life, just to focus on getting the business operational. That's definitely a challenge.
Exercise definitely took a backseat for me.
Yeah. I think generally, when I always try and cycle and swim every day, but during Techstars and when it gets really busy, like everything just goes to waste, and it really affects not the body but the mind. Yeah. So that's definitely a challenge, keeping healthy mentally and physically. And what else is a challenge? I guess just the relentless, just slog. Yeah. Just keep on going, just keep moving forward. Yeah. But it's an exciting challenge. I mean, challenges are fun, aren't they? People enter challenges, like
mud wrestling.
Yeah, people like challenges. Dash. Challenging is fun.
Yeah, that's true.
And if you don't think being challenged is fun, then don't start a business.
Or you're doing the wrong challenge.
Yeah,
exactly.
Play Cluedo or Monopoly or something, or a crossword.
Yeah, exactly.
The crossword challenge.
Yeah. Perfect. Take that recommendation, everyone. So one thing I've noticed from working with you is obviously your team is all in different places, which, having that mentality and kind of looking around the world has probably given you the best talent. But how do you make that work? How do you work together effectively?
You've got to find a time that you can all coordinate together at least once a day.
Okay.
So we have a meeting every day to bring everyone together, even if it's only for 5-10 minutes.
And it was actually at 4.
Yeah, so I've had to postpone it for half an hour.
Yeah.
I've still got plenty of time, don't worry. And just make sure that everyone is on the same page every single day. Yeah. Because as soon as communication stops, and what's really challenging is when I'm travelling overseas and internationally, and a couple of days of long-haul flights away, and then you haven't realised that you haven't been touched base for a few days. Yeah. That's stuff that can actually happen in that time.
Definitely.
And when members of the team feel isolated, that's really bad. People need to feel like they are part of a team. Yeah. And that people are being heard, and concerns and issues, or sometimes people tend not to announce or reveal that they're finding things difficult, and actually to speak every day just keeps the dialogue happening.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, cool. And so we'll just coming back to the business itself and everything you're building, and what is blockchain's role in it? Like, why did you choose to use blockchain for your platform versus more traditional technologies?
There are no existing technologies which allow us to do what we're trying to do. Okay. And this is exactly why. I mean, the existing financial systems, every country's got their own financial system. They don't interact. There's a company called Swift where you can send payments overseas, but it's expensive, it's time consuming. Yeah. It's really slow. It's not just time consuming in terms of applying to make the payment, and you've got to fill in loads and loads of forms. Yeah. But you've got to pay a huge fee and then wait several days. It's ludicrous. Yeah. And so as a result, it's not worth sending tiny sums of money. But because the solar cells that people purchase through the Sun Exchange are 100 rand, $10 each, and they're leased over 20 years. Yeah. Like the actual monthly payments that people were earning from their rental payments are tiny, absolutely microscopic. But we can make those payments using Bitcoin
without the hefty fees and charges.
Yeah, I mean there are transaction fees, but with Bitcoin wallets you can do off-chain transactions, and we can transfer Bitcoin to Bitcoin wallets. But the fact is, it's one single currency to service everyone. Yeah. And also blockchain, it's very, very, very secure. So Bitcoin has never been hacked. Yeah. And it's transparent, and it's on a public record. So people have got concerns about investing into Africa. It's known to be a fairly corrupt place, which is true in some instances. So it's not putting money into a black hole. If you're doing it on a blockchain transaction, you can see the money's going there, and you can see the money coming out. So it's like a perfect technology for investing into developing countries. Okay. And actually, the financial infrastructure in South Africa is very advanced, but in most countries in Africa, there's a huge amount of people who don't have access to modern day financial services, but they've got a phone. And if you've got a phone, you can accept and trade Bitcoin. So actually, this idea of unbanked is actually irrelevant now, because everyone has a mobile phone. So actually, everyone can now interface with Sun Exchange.
Exactly, mobile bank. And so I think some people find the world of blockchain and Bitcoin quite complex. So how have you found, I mean, I'm going to say a non-technical founder, not a developer anyway, how have you found working with that technology?
Well, I don't think it is that complex. Okay. I mean, I think it's extremely simple. I mean, I don't think anyone could explain how the existing financial system works. Yeah. Like if you make when you pay for a cup of coffee with a debit card or a credit card, do you have any idea how the money gets from your account to the coffee shops?
God, no.
It goes through like 5 different clearing houses and payment processors. Each one's trying to take a payment. Each one's got their own protocols.
Yeah.
It's extremely complicated. It's been built over decades and decades, if not hundreds of years.
Yeah.
And the whole system just needs to be replaced. And Bitcoin and blockchain is actually very simple and very elegant.
Yeah.
So I mean, I read a book on it very early on about how it actually works, and it was very revealing actually that this is extremely obvious transition and next generation of financial technology.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily need to know how to build it. I just
Yeah.
need to know what it does. I need to know what you can do with it and think about how you how can you apply this new technology?
Yeah.
How can you utilize it? I don't need to know how to code it.
Well, no, that's fair. And so I'm going to put you on the spot, but what do you think the future of blockchain is? Or Bitcoin, or these cryptocurrencies?
I think people are just going to find more and more use cases for it, find ways of new industries are going to be disrupted. So, I mean, I don't think there's any tech company in the world which is not in some way under threat by being disrupted by a decentralized version of that product or service.
Yeah.
So just in the last few months, I've been on the road presenting our own token, but I've seen alternatives for YouTube, I've seen alternatives for Facebook and LinkedIn. These are all decentralized crypto-based versions of what are currently monopolies.
Yeah.
So, and the fact is, when it comes to be a decentralized tech platform like that,
Yeah.
then everyone can participate in the financial revenues that those platforms create, and I think that's going to be hugely progressive for the world's economy.
Exactly, and open up the world to, as you say, these unbanked masses, particularly in Africa. It's going to be transformational.
Yeah.
But you did just slip in there about your own coin, which is
Yes.
very exciting. So the Sun Exchange is doing their own ICO in the next couple of months.
The SunX network token.
Cool.
So we've got a pre-sale opening on the 11th of November.
All right, well, it's perfect timing.
Yeah, and so right now we're going through what's called a pre-sale stage, which is kind of private people buying into this token at an early stage with a significant bonus available.
Okay.
Because the lack of absolute clarity on, there's no white paper available at the moment, but people who like the concept of what we're doing are getting involved very early just to support it at an early stage.
Yeah,
but we do have a landing page at tse.thesunexchange.com.
Okay.
So tokensaleevent.thesunexchange.com. We'll put the link in the
definitely.
the thing. But we've got a really awesome video people can watch and see what it does. But actually, what it is, this is a cryptocurrency where each token, each coin, is backed by an actual physical solar cell.
Okay.
So it's an asset-backed cryptocurrency.
Okay.
With a physical solar cell representing it, so they can then be traded on digital currency exchanges.
Okay.
Which then allows liquidity with SunX. With our solar cells, they can be traded peer to peer, and that is a breakthrough. I mean, that's now a
lot of these
digitally tokenized solar cell being traded on a cryptocurrency exchanges. I mean, this is radical. I mean, this is the way things are going to go. Like completely new types of assets.
Yeah.
This is a new asset class being represented by a SunX token, and you buy one, and the revenues that solar cell creates and the downstream services that your electricity is providing just purchases more solar cells. That has a compounding effect on the number of assets that your token is representing. Yeah. Or the SunX token is representing.
And I guess the fact that it's asset backed, there's a lot of ICOs happening at the moment. It seems like just the bandwagon everyone.
There's so much vaporware, and there's some borderline scams happening, or some token sales or ICOs which are just getting completely incomprehensible. Yeah. Or people just trying to come up with some really
just write a white paper and see what happens.
Such an out there idea, but there's no real way of proving whether it can actually work or not.
Yeah.
With our token sale, our business exists already. We've already got solar plants operating that have been funded through the model. Yeah. And we've already got a huge customer base. So we're just now improving our existing product by tokenizing it. Yeah. This is an enhancement of what we're doing already. We're not trying to create something new concept. Like, this is something that's just improved something in a very sensible and obvious way.
And so why ICO or token sale as opposed to an IPO or a more traditional?
I guess that IPOs are very restrictive. Yeah. You've got to be a very big advanced company to do it, and they're very, very onerous on the kind of compliance that necessary to go through. But I mean, ours isn't an investment tool. It's a token. It's a utility token. Okay. Yeah. It's a token that represents not only a solar cell, but actually is a utility. It's providing electricity. Yeah. So there's no equity involved. There's no shares. You're just owning an asset, and the number of assets you're owning increases over time. Okay. So it's not compatible with an IPO structure. Yep. This is a new type of finance. There's cryptocurrency. There's a decentralized money. It doesn't work with an IPO model, and also it's with our whole kind of line of philosophy. Like we brought Sun Exchange into being on Indiegogo, on a crowdfunding platform. It's for a crowd selling solar platform, so it makes sense to do a crowd sale of SunX tokens for the next stage.
Absolutely. No, I mean, I agree, and I will hopefully be participating in your TSE.
Yeah.
So just the final question. Can you just share some advice or some thoughts for entrepreneurs who might be listening, who are thinking about either starting a business based on blockchain technology or wondering if ICO is the right? Yeah.
I guess there's kind of two things. Firstly, you've got to work out whether it really is something you want to be doing, and that's a really easy way to find out, because if it feels like work and it feels like it's hard work, then it probably isn't what you ought to be doing. When you've really found something that is for you, you just go and go and go and go, and it's exciting every single day. And once you've felt that, you'll know you're on the right track. And then once you've felt that, then just never give up and do everything possible, no matter what it is, just to keep moving. When I set my first business up in 2008, I was living under my friend's dining room table.
Why not on top?
Because it had all my laptops and stuff in it. So I slept under the dining room table to save money, with his dogs, like they sleep with me, fuck's sake. Not in that way, don't worry. So yeah, I mean that was like one length I went to, and then obviously it's really had no money coming in, so I ended up selling like damp-proof wall paint door to door just to get some money in the bank, just so I could carry on working on my first business. So it's just got to go through extreme lengths, and just to keep going there, because it's worth it, because just doing a shitty job 1-2 days a week just to bring in some money so you can do what you love and do something which is actually going to provide you not just financially but emotionally and spiritually things that mean a lot to you. For the longer term, it's worth doing a shitty job.
Definitely, I agree.
And then quit that job as soon as you can once you think that you can actually now go all in.
Yeah, definitely.
But do quit your full-time job as soon as you can. If you've got a full-time job and you want to be doing a business, then just look at how to get out of it as quickly as possible, so you can focus on your full-time business.
And just don't half-ass everything.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm glad you're no longer having to sell damp paint door to door, although I imagine you'd be very good at it. Yeah, and just remember that job stands for just over broke. So if you've got a job, you're going to be on that forever. At least if you've got a business, you're doing something that you get everything you get out of it is everything put into it, you'll get out and more. Amazing. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, thank you. Coming from such a true entrepreneur, everyone quit their jobs immediately. Not immediately, and don't hold it, and don't come to me if it all goes wrong. Yeah, I'll post his personal email address for the abuse mail. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much, Abe. Awesome to chat to you. Very exciting, everything you're doing. Thanks. Thanks for having me. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Cool. Thank you.